Soaring Without Limits Enterprises presents the Triple E Podcast, a show dedicated to empowering women to elevate, expand, and explore their mindsets. I am your host, Monique Pearson, best-selling author, mindset coach, international speaker, and travelologist. Are you ready to transform your life? Join us monthly for inspiring stories and actionable tips so that you can soar without limits. Well, good evening, everyone. For those who are not familiar with me, I am Monique Pearson, your mindset coach, and I am also the host of the Triple E podcast. What does Triple E stand for? It stands for Elevate, Expand, and Explore. And we are going to be doing that in all areas of your life, financially, mentally, physically, spiritually, you name it. We are looking at it from a 360 approach as to how we can help you with your triple E's. So today we are going to have another spectacular guest. I'm super excited to have her here with me, and I'm going to read her bio, and then immediately following, I am going to bring up the real Karen McKoy, as I like to call her, to the front of the stage. So Karen McKoy is an award-winning international speaker who shares her wisdom with thousands of listeners on being resilient in the face of adversity in life and finding joy on the journey. She's a speaker who shares her struggles after the death of 2 children and a granddaughter. The speaker counsels mothers about the personal journey to renew their joy after the loss of a child. Upon earning her Bachelor's of Science degree in Business Management with a concentration in leadership, the speaker earned a Master of Arts in Religious Studies. With those formal degrees, the speaker has earned a doctorate in navigating through tragic vicissitudes of motherhood, as life is the best graduate school. As a Resilience Strategist, the speaker assists women in discovering God-given gifts through the tragedies suffered in life following the loss of a child and knowing there is still joy even after the inconsolable pain of death's heartbreak. Karen McKoy resides in Clayton, Alabama with her husband William and 6 lovable Rottweilers, Lauren Ruth, Boaz, Lily Rose, Buster Rhymes, Sienna Grace, and Brandy, the mother of 7 children, 2 of which have their earthly home in their parents' hearts, as well as 2 bonus children. She loves reading good books and occasionally watching funny movies. The speaker desires mothers that have lost children by tragic death to know that there is life after the death of a child, and to live those following years as much as the will of the Almighty by humbling to His purpose only. So without further ado, I am going to bring to the stage the real Karen McKoy.
Hey, girl.
Hey, Karen. Welcome. We are so happy to have you this evening on the Triple E podcast. How are you this evening?
I am doing just lovely.
Fabulous. We are glad to have you here. So, as I just got done reading your bio, I know that some moms who may be listening, since our audience is particularly women, I think the first question that they will probably ask is, how are you here before us today? Because hearing that, I'm sure many women just can't see how they can proceed forth and how you are here before us and being able to be a blessing and help other mothers who, as yourself, have lost a child.
Well, listen, I'm going to tell you like I tell everybody else. I'm only able to be here in my right mind, not wrapped up in an insane asylum somewhere with some cute shoes on, by the grace of God. We have this love-hate relationship.
Go a little bit deeper into that, Karen. You said y'all have a love-hate relationship. How's that working?
Well, God always wins. So it's a little different from me and my husband. So I can kind of get over a little bit on my husband, but God in the end wins. And the love-hate is, I've lost 2 children, as you read in my bio, with a granddaughter as well. And the hate part comes in when I look at, and I'm just like, God, I can't believe I got to wake up. I got to walk around with this pain again. And then God reminds me, but I'm with you and I got you. And so therefore we go back to loving each other again.
So, what would you say to a mother who may have recently lost and all she can see is the hate side and not being able to get back to that place of love as it pertains to her relationship with God, or perhaps just her walk and being able to live and love life going forward?
I would tell her it's okay to not be okay. It's okay for you to listen. I'm gonna say some things that maybe might rock some people's Christian ears. So I'm gonna go on and put the disclaimer out there that I love God. The Lord is my light. As for me and my house, we shall serve the Lord. However, in my flesh, on this side over here, there are just some days when that's not the verbiage that comes out of my mouth. And what I will tell a mother who has just lost a child, I will tell her it's okay to not be okay. It's okay to let God know that you're mad at him. I mean, after all, God knows everything. So he already knew that you were going to be in this situation before you knew you were going to be in this situation. So I would
Right.
tell her to be okay with um, just not trying to hide it or trying to put on that face to maybe not feel like you are angry or mad or you want to cuss
Mm.
somebody out. It's all natural. All
So
natural.
what I'm hearing is you're telling her to embrace her truth and be authentic with what she's feeling. And I think you shared with me before that you speak to God like you speak to one of your friends. Would that be accurate too, as far as her being able to get out those feelings?
Yes, I think I speak to God a little bit more than I speak to my friends. I share all of it. And with the friends, I kind of give them a little bit. I try to color it a little bit inside the lines, but when I get with God, I just throw the paint all over the walls and what have you. So a mother who has just lost a child just really needs to understand that it's just okay. Because at the end of the day, if you are in the church world, I would say, if you go to church and they're going to tell you, they tell you this is the one that I hated to hear. The Lord will put no more on you than you can bear. And
Mm,
that's just not something that a mother who has just lost a child wanted to hear. I mean, I get people that still tell me that to this day, and I still don't want to hear it because I still have 5 living children, and most people think that I'm bearing it very well. So I don't want people to think that I'm bearing it every single day. There's some days when I don't want to get up out of the bed, but I have to because I know that there's a mother who needs to ask me that question. Karen, how'd you get
mhm,
out of the bed today? Or Karen, how do you get out of the bed? And I have to have an answer for that because I want another mother to know. It's been 17 years after my daughter and granddaughter's death, and it'll be 5 years next month for my son's death. And
mhm,
I want to be able to tell a mother how I'm doing it, not how I did it. So I want people to
mhm,
understand it's a every second journey. Getting on here talking to you, it's talking about what I have to talk about makes me sometimes I get a little pissed off that I have to have these conversations. And I feel like somewhere along the line, people miss the mark that death is a part of life because we don't talk about it enough. And I think if we talked about it like we talk about making money, or if we talked about wanting to have the baby, we, have to have that conversation. What if God takes that child from you? And those conversations wasn't had with me growing up. A year before my daughter died, we don't have those conversations. I have them now, but I used
mhm.
to didn't have them pre-death. I didn't have them. So
Well, speaking of conversations, you mentioned something about far as people come to you often, even still, and telling you God won't place on you more than you can bear, and how that hits you the wrong way. What would you say would be appropriate? Because I know many don't know what to say. Some of your family and your friends, they just isolate themselves because of the fear of saying the wrong thing, or they don't know what to say, so they isolate. If you can give them a word of counsel for someone, like in your situation, if someone was to come to you, what would you say would be a good way to console or to be there for you, for someone who is trying to
That's
be there.
that's an easy question. As a matter of fact, last night somebody sent me a message on Messenger asking me. They just had a friend that lost a child, and they wanted to. She gave me I want to tell her this. I want to send her loves, and I'm what she said. I'm sending. I want to tell her. I want to hug her, and I love her, and I'm here for her. And I told
Hmm.
her that would be appropriate,
Okay.
because it's not talking about her life. You're talking about your relationship with her. So
Right.
think about the mother. Think about what the mother needs. Think about what the family needs. Don't think about what happened, how it happened. Think about your relationship with that mother or that father, and then
Hmm.
let it be personal so that you can even say, "I'm here for you." I don't know,
Hmm.
and you can tell them. Like I felt better when people told me, I don't know what to say to you. I wouldn't know what to do, and I felt better, because that lets me know that they
Right.
don't know how to handle my situation, and so therefore, I usually will be like, "It's okay, if you're here, that's great." But just if you don't, and the other thing, if you don't know what to say, don't say nothing. Like if nothing comes to you, it's okay to just be in the room. She'll see
Mm.
you or he'll see you. Like the people, you'll be recognized, but don't to a mother that has lost a child or a husband, a male friend, men
Mhm.
don't take things the same way as women do. So just be a little mindful, and
Mhm.
just like I said, if you don't know what to say, don't say anything. And if you're listening to this now, right, I'm telling you, if you don't know what to say, don't say anything. Or whatever the relationship you have with that person, just let your emotions go with that, and just say,
Mhm.
"I'm here for you," and that's it.
Right.
Yeah, that's it. And mean it. And mean it.
Mm. Well, thank you for sharing that because I hear that a lot, that a lot of people don't know what to do in these situations when it comes to grief. So they don't do anything or they just isolate themselves from those individuals. And I'm sure at that time you would appreciate whatever support that they could offer. So thank you for sharing that. But one thing I found, and I don't think you mentioned it in your bio, that you found a creative outlet as well. Could you share with us what that is and how that works? I would rather you speak to it and shed some light on it because it
Yeah,
could
I'm
help.
I'm literally sitting in my studio. This is the studio. This is slap and paint on paper studio. That's what, because I was trying to decide what kind of name to give it, right? I was like, it needs a snazzy name. But then I was like, that's what I do when I come here, slap and paint on paper. So I was reintroduced to crafting, sewing machine. I took 4-H when I was in high school, junior high
Mhm.
school. So I knew how to sew. But after having kids and doing all the things with the kids, I kind of threw it in the back. You throw things up in the back seat and you don't worry
Yeah.
about it. But after my son's death, COVID happened, and one of the young ladies that I'm affiliated with in our Soul Wealth group, she
Hmm.
sent me this picture, and she's like, "Hey, color this." I was coloring in coloring books, anything to kind of keep my mind um, kind of concentrating on anything but crying. And so she invited me to the Zoom, and then everybody in there was creating. I was like, I can't do none of this. So fast forward, I realized somewhere in there, God tapped me on the shoulder and just like, you can do all this, right? And the studio was born when we moved here. This was one of the selling points, was the studio. It's just as much room on this side as on that side. And so slap and paint on paper is a thing. Slapandpaintonpaper.com, slap and paint on paper, it's trademark. And it's literally just what it says. I slap paint on paper. I slap needles in books. I make books, and it saved my sanity. It's a thing that creating something new on this journey of trying to learn how to live with this. How can I say, the tragedy
Hmm.
that came into my life not once but twice. And so it was something that I found so much joy in. And I'll sit in the studio for hours and hours and hours. I can sit in the studio and look at TV, um, and it just brings me so much solace. Like it's my go-to, other than riding the tractor and the lawnmower.
So, do you also help other mothers as well, or is this just something that's for your personal use to slap and paint on paper?
So slap and paint on paper, I have classes. So I do offer classes for slap and paint on paper. We are going to have here at the ranch actual in-person events where people can come, and more so moms, if they're
Mm-hmm.
interested. Now they don't necessarily have to paint, like, but I want them to think about something that brought them joy once upon a time in their life and tap into that. And so that with Renew Your Joy is the program that I also offer, for mothers who have lost children. And I say mothers because I can't speak from a father's standpoint. I can speak from
Right.
a mother's standpoint. So Renew Your Joy is for mothers who have lost children, and it's to help them navigate the new journey, the new, tide that they're going to have with grief. And I also teach them, if they want to, I teach how to make junk journals, things to give you that you can do in memory of your child. Like this
Mm-hmm.
year, because it'll be 5 years for my son's death, I'm going to do a junk journal in his memory, and it'll have all the things, every facet of his life that I can find, pull out, and throw into this book. And that's what I'm going to do, instead of, you know, dreading a day for it to come, because death on the calendar is going to come around every year, just like your birthday.
Mm. So I heard you mention that in person. Do you offer for those who may not be local to the Clayton, Alabama area? How would they connect with you? And those who may be interested in hearing more and learning more and working with you, how do they go about doing
So KarenMcKoy.com, and I'm the real McKoy, like Monique said earlier. You have to
that?
spell McKoy right. It's McKoy. So it's KarenMcKoy.com. And that is my main hub of all things counseling, watercolor, everything is on there, even talking about the dogs, because that's something else that I started doing after was, we breed Rottweilers too. So I've changed my I have different lanes, but it's all to keep my mind occupied from, going somewhere, sitting down, just giving up on life.
Mm,
But
so,
you can, so if you go to KarenMcCoy.com or slapandpaintonpaper.com, you can
mhm.
get to me. And I also do virtual, same way we're doing right now. We would, we can do virtual. Virtual, in person hasn't happened yet, but I'm asking the Lord to make it come to fruition, because that's one of the things I want, to be able to literally be in the same place with like 3 or 4 moms, and we speak the same language. We don't have to explain. We start crying, we don't have to say, oh, her child died. We don't have to do that to each other. We go
Right.
and give each other hugs, and we understand. And unfortunately, we're teaching the world how to handle us at the same
Mm.
time. Yeah.
Well, I will make sure to include all of those links, ladies, in our posting when we post this in the YouTube as well as our Spotify channels for those who would love to connect with Karen. So we're going to shift a little bit, Karen. Can you share a time with us when stepping out of your comfort zone led to an area of significant growth for you? What did that look like?
Oh, other than, oh, listen, other than, I don't think I've had anything in life that has taught me how to grow up other than death. Death was the thing that really moved me out of my comfort zone. Before that, I had what I call the lifetime script. Like, I'm the director of my lifetime movie, and I had this vision, this movie, the trailer. And when my granddaughter and daughter, my granddaughter and daughter died, it just made that movie trailer go away. And so I had to shift.
Mm-hmm.
And I moved to my now husband, I moved to Germany. And that pushed me, when I tell you, going from America to Germany. But I needed something different, and I needed a safe place, because I didn't need people looking. Well, I felt like everybody was looking at me after my daughter and granddaughter died, because my daughter committed what we call murder suicide. Okay.
Mm.
Put a little, put it in context. And so for me to go to church people were looking at me. People were judging me, and I felt like I was a bad mother. I felt like I didn't do enough. So
Mm,
I had to escape my own world of, oh my God, what's going on? And so going to Germany, nobody knew me. Nobody, I could go back to church. The pastor didn't know my name. He didn't know anything about me. So I kind of took my lifetime script and I pulled it back up and I was like, okay, we're going to rewrite this script. And everybody has a script, right? Everybody has a part on in the movie. When people didn't read their lines the way I wanted them to, I was like, okay, you're cut. Or if people didn't treat me the way I wanted them to treat me, it's like, okay, you're cut. So I cut out a lot of family members. I disconnected myself until I could handle people because
mm,
I couldn't handle people. I was ashamed, I was embarrassed, all those things. And I
mm,
didn't feel like trying to be vulnerable in a time when I didn't even realize if I wanted to live again. Like
mhm,
I wanted to just like every day I would get up, it's like, Lord, just you woke me up again. Like, I don't want to do this. But so that made me navigate life a little differently. So when I
mhm,
came back to the States, I didn't care. Like I knew I didn't do anything wrong. My daughter was grown, she did what she did because she felt like that's what she wanted to do. And that was not my fault. And then when I
mm,
finally got the nerve to read, because she left, there was no question about it. She left me a 3-page letter and
mhm,
3 or 4 sticky notes. So she gave me the answer, but
mhm,
by the time the police gave it to me or whatever, I didn't want to read it or whatever. So by the time I did read it, I cried probably about 3, 4 days, walked a lot in Germany. And then I just realized something is just like the lights from whatever they opened up, and it's just like, it's not your fault. And so when I read her letter, at the end of it, it says, everything in this life is not about you. And this is not about you. This isn't about you. And that
wow.
was so freeing. She was telling me from the grave, everything in life is not about you, Mom, and this definitely is not about you. And after that, I
Mm,
was able to move on and navigate now that side of my life. And once you change gears and change lanes, you really can't go back.
mhm,
You look at you and you look at the growth. I could see the growth. I could see the people would look at me and I would say, "Hey, how are you?" Because all it was they just didn't know what to say
what
to
to
me.
say.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it was me taking it on as like, oh God, they're talking about me and all that. It was my own inner demon. And once I got over myself, girl, the world has just been my oyster.
You brought up something, Karen, that I definitely think I want to expound a little upon about the mothers who may be self-blaming
Mhm.
if their children are departing. How would you share with them to help them? You found your way out as far as not taking responsibility in your daughter relieving you of that from the grave. For those who may not have a message from their children before they depart or leave something in blaming it on themselves, how do you help them maneuver past that?
Man, listen, that's a good question. I'm gonna answer it like this. I still have one other child that was murdered. And so then I got ready to throw the blame again on myself. And what I did was I looked at the fact that I have grown children.
Mhm,
These are grown. They're grown-ups. They're not children anymore. And I want a mother to think about it. You had your child for the time that God gave them to you. The day that that child was born, it already had an expiration date. We just didn't know that it was going to be before us, before
mhm,
you. So
mhm,
the thing of it is if you did everything that you can do, and I always tell myself, I don't say I did everything that I could. I did all that I knew. But that was, to me, it was a cop out for me. So
mhm,
I wanted to say that I couldn't do anymore. Like I gave all that I could give, but you can only give what they allow you to give.
mhm,
Right. So, right now, if a mother is listening to me and you've lost a child and your child committed suicide and you didn't get a letter or you didn't find a note or there wasn't a friend Or there's most of the kids now, they're committing suicide on lives, and you didn't get to see the live, you didn't get to see whatever. It's okay. I'm asking you to be present with that, and pray and ask God to remove the guilt from you,
Mhm.
because I know what that feels like, and I know it will eat you alive, and it will not let you take another step. Like, you will be crippled the rest of your life if you let someone else's choices
Mm.
handcuff you, even your own child. I still have 5 living children and 2 bonus children. And even them still living now, I think of it the same way. They're grown, and I let them do what they want to do. But I don't let them handcuff me, because their life is their life and my life is my life. And as a mother, we will always be connected to that child. But
Mhm.
you know what? They cut the umbilical cord when they were born. So they were meant to grow up and go on about their business. But we will always love them, and there's nothing nobody can ever do, nothing my children could do could ever take my love away from them. They always say, I'll send a text and be like, I love you, and then they'll text back, I love you more, and I'll be like, nah, I don't think so. Yeah.
That's good though. I like that part you said, far as cutting the umbilical cord, far as you're cutting that connection, but they're always connected in your heart, in your spirit, and will always be. That's good. That's good right there. So, what practices do you follow to help you maintain and enhance and improve your mental health?
Being honest with myself and tell myself, some days you just not gonna get it right. And then I look back at myself and I be like, girl, we're not perfect. And then we be like, we're not perfect. I've learned to be honest with myself. And when I don't want to do something, I just learned this really, really, and really embracing this year. Because this year was the year that I really got to look at Karen and ask Karen, did you really want to do that? And then I was just like, well, I wanted to be a part of it. I didn't want them to be mad at me, or I wanted to do it. And then just like, but no, girl, I asked you, did you really want to do that? So to answer your question, I do a lot of self-talk. I know back in
Mm.
the day, they used to tell me, like, you ain't supposed to talk to yourself because they say you're crazy. I was like, well, I'm gonna be the biggest fool around here because I need to talk to me. I
Oh,
need to
so they
talk
out
to me.
loud, these conversations.
Oh, I have these conversations out loud. I'm on 10 and a half acres and I'm walking and talking, and I better answer.
So you mentioned something that a lot of people have issues with and want to stop is people pleasing. How did you get to a point where you no longer cared about pleasing others but pleasing Karen?
I ain't totally 100% there, but I'm about 60%. I'll say no, but in my mind, I still be wanting to say yes because I don't want them to be upset with me. And I'm gonna tell you now, it stems really for me. Like, let's talk about my children. I don't want to tell my children no, or I don't want to like, no, I'm not gonna do this or whatever. We have those kind of conversations because I've already had a child to take her life. And
Mm-hmm.
if to say no would mean I'm not giving my all, right? But then that was a part that those handcuffs that I was talking about,
Right.
that not my children don't place on me, I was placing on myself. So
Mm.
people pleasing, it's more so with my children than it is with I can tell everybody else no. I could
Right.
care less. I'm cool with being, you know, alone, not without my husband, or not, not like that. But if I had the choice of choosing to go hang out, let me do it this, to go hang out in a club, or to go to the football game, or stay at home and stay in the studio, I'm gonna choose the studio 10 times.
10 toes down.
Yeah.
Mm-mm-mm.
Because
So,
and it's my sanity. It's just right now I think that I don't get triggered. It's just that when I look at in the past, me going, it's like, did I really enjoy it? You know what I'm
mm,
saying? And it's like,
mm-hmm.
if it really, really didn't bring me joy, like it made me happy, but you can be happy sitting in a pile of poop.
I don't know. That sounds like somebody with the fetishes might be down with something like that,
Ab-
Karen.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I ain't say you, somebody could be, but I want joy. I want joy in my life. And joy is one of those things you can't fake. So you can put on the hey girl and but to really have joy and really want to be in that place and really exude your energy. Cause like energy is everything now. Like you already know you get close to somebody and you just be like, oh, I don't want to do it. I ain't gonna waste my time. I'll stay home.
So y'all, the people pleasing, sometimes it means just staying in your safe space, in your
You
own
need
place.
to like don't ask yourself this one question. It how is it gonna benefit you?
Mm-hmm.
If you want to go on a vacation, like somebody said, well, hey girl, I got an all expense paid trip for you. Is it gonna benefit you? Then go. But just because somebody says they got an all expense paid trip, don't mean I want to go. Well, I need to know who you going with, who gonna be there. Why you giving me this? I gotta go down all of that. So yeah. But ask yourself, is it gonna benefit you? And are you gonna get joy from it? Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, I think our last guest, Dr. Reed, said the same thing as far as doing what brings you joy.
Oh
And if
yeah,
the
you
answer
know
is
her.
yes,
Yeah. Yeah.
if it ain't yes, then why are you doing it? So
And we don't waste our heartbeats.
facts. So as we are coming to a close, you have definitely shared some good gems that we will definitely. I'm happy that we were able to hear and share and help a mother or perhaps a father or someone who has lost someone, Karen. But if we had to go and look at your dash, what would you like your dash to speak and say about the real Karen McKoy?
You know, I would really like my dash, because a lot of people like the dash to say a lot of things. I would really like the dash to say that she died and she's empty.
And what does that mean?
That means she did everything and anything that she wanted to do. Not that anybody else wanted her to do, that she wanted to do. And even though life served her a bad hand sometimes, she still played
Mm,
that hand out.
mm, You a poker player?
A little bit. I wouldn't play with no money, but I've played enough that I can hold my own, and I know when to fold them. What Kenny Rogers say? Know when to hold them and know when to fold them. Yeah, I know when to
Yeah.
walk away.
So
Yeah,
she got a full house. That was with the dash. That's what I was alluding to, as
yeah.
far as a winning hand.
And but you know what? Everything that I've gone through in life, Monique, I would really say, and I truthfully can say, I still have a winning hand because I had my daughter for 24 years. I had my granddaughter for 7 years. I had my son for 20, I think he was 24, 25. I had them for a long time. You know what I'm saying? So
Mm,
I can't say that I was still cheated. Like
mm,
God is the giver and the taker of life. So even
yeah.
though my daughter did what she did, God had to give permission for it to happen. And even though my son was murdered, God still had to take the breath away. So nobody took anything from me. God
Hmm.
gave me and God took away, and therefore I'm still rich. My great grandmother used to walk around with her little purse in her hand, and she'd look around like when we'd all be around. She's like, "Oh, I'm so rich. I get it now. I get it now."
Wow.
Yeah.
That perspective. Thank you so much for sharing, Karen. That was powerful. That ending message. That even in the midst of all the loss, you still feel as if you're winning, and I believe that is going to help empower another woman, another father, another sister, someone who may have lost a loved one. That even in the midst, you are still rich, you are still winning, and God is still going to be with you. So
Amen.
thank you again, Karen, for sharing. That is going to conclude our episode today on the Triple E podcast. Make sure if you are shacking up with us that you join us in marriage by hitting that subscription button and joining us for the next episode so we can elevate, expand, and explore your mindset. Thanks for joining us.